धाम रतना मंदिरा मनोहारा वृंदावन
रम्यस्थान दिव्या चिंतामणि धाम रतना मंदिर मनोहारा
वृंदावन रम्यस्थान दिव्या चिंतामणि धाम रतना मंदिर मनोहारा
वृंदावन रम्यस्थान दिव्या चिंतामणि धाम रतन मंदिर मनोहारा
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम राम
हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
वृंदावन रम्यस्थान दिव्या चिंतामणि धाम रतना मंदिर मनोहारा
वृंदावन रम्यस्थान दिव्या चिंतामणि धाम रतन मंदिर मनोहारा
हरि हरि
Do you have Sri Krishna Chaitanya Jivadaya Kori?
No problem. I don't have that printed. No.
Okay. Did we do Kevalashtakam?
We can do that. We didn't do. We didn't do.
We didn't do Kevalashtakam? You have Kevalashtakam lyrics too?
No problem. I only had this one. Gauranga Karuna Kore.
Okay. Yeah. Or we can do Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Divajara. Huh? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivedaya Kori Alsa Prasad Swiyedam Sahavatari. You have this Prabhu? Jivedaya Kori.
Sri Krishna Jaya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, we'll sing the bhajan Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori, written by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Ready? You have it, Prabhu?
I got it, Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Kartal, Prabhu?
Huh? No, only Kartal I can do.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Swaprasad Swiyedam Sahavatari.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Saparshada Swiyadama Sahavatari.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Swaprasad Swiyedam Sahavatari.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Saparshada Swiyadama
Sahavatari. Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kori Baredanam Shikaya Sharanagati Bakatera Prana.
Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kori Baredana Shikaye Sarangati Bakatera Prana.
Atyanta Durlabha Prema Puri Baredana Shikaya Sharanagati Bakatera Prana.
Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kori Baredana Shikaya Saranagati Bakatera Prana.
Dainya Atma Nivedana Gopi Tritve Varana Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasha Palana.
Dainyatma Nivedana Gotrutve Varana
Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasha Palana. Dainya Atma Nivedana Gopi Tritve Varana Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasha Palana.
Dainyatma Nivedana Gotrutve Varana Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasapalana.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Swaprasad Swiyedam Sahavatari.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jiva Daya Kori Swaparshada Swiyadama Sahavatari.
Bhakti Anukula Matra Kariyera Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varjanangikara.
Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varjanangikara.
Bhakti Anukula Matra Kariyera Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varjanangikara.
Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyera Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varjanangikara.
Sadanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejahara Tahara Pratana Sune Shri Nanda Kumara.
Sadanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejahara Tahara Pradana Sune Srinanda Kumara.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Swaprasad Swiyedam Sahavatari.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Swaprasada Sriyajama Sahavatari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori, Swaparsad Sliye Dam Sahavatari.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori,
Swaparsad Sliye Dam Sahavatari. Jai.
Okay. Jai Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavani Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Bol, Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai. Thank you very much for coming tonight. It's very important to come to the temple on a regular basis if you want to free yourself from all difficulties and confusions and fear, and above all, loneliness. Loneliness is an epidemic now in the United States. Why? Because the more one becomes a atheist, the more they become isolated. And eventually they develop loneliness. And loneliness is an epidemic now, as I said. So coming to the temple, you learn that loneliness is a false concept, because Krishna is in your heart. But if you're atheist, you don't believe that. And if you, maybe not even an atheist, but you just don't have much knowledge about how this body works, you come to the conclusion that you're alone. And the world seems to be a challenge to function in, because there's a lot of competition, and you have friends and family members that die, and eventually all your family members are dead, or you don't have too many friends, or if you had a family and the children grow up and they get jobs and go live in different cities or countries, people get lonely. So this loneliness is actually a false concept. But anytime there's a false concept, it's due to ignorance. And the ignorance is not understanding that God is in your heart, or Krishna as Paramatma is in your heart. So you're not alone in your body. In your body, there's your soul, and next to your soul is also Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why your body works. Like when you go to sleep, you're not controlling your breathing. You're not consciously breathing, but it's going on as if it's automatic. So when you're sleeping, you're not consciously controlling your breathing, but yet it's going on. Why? Because there's somebody else that's controlling the functions of the body. That's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's present in the heart of every living entity. That's why things work. That's why the sun comes out up at predictable times of the year. Why is it predictable? Because it's controlled by somebody. And who's controlling it? It's definitely not Joe Biden. It's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's controlling everything. And every day you look at the weather report, or you look at what time the sun is going to rise and what time it's going to set, and all these things have become predictable because there's a Supreme Personality of Godhead who's behind it. If there was chaos and nobody controlling nature, then you would not be able to predict anything. Everything would be confused and chaotic. But you see that nature is not chaotic. It's being controlled in very specific ways. There's change of seasons, and at one point there are trees, they seem to come alive, although all winter they seem to be asleep, and they have new buds, and then all of a sudden those buds develop into fruits, and there's flowers, and all kinds of things come alive in the spring, and they mature in the summer, and they dwindle in the fall, and then again there's winter. So all this is controlled by superior persons. Who are those superior persons? Well, you have a hierarchy of persons. You have devas, or superior human beings, who have attained much higher level of intelligence and power and responsibility in the universe. And above them is ultimately Krishna, the Supreme Controller. That's why things work. That's why a mother can give birth to a child. The mother doesn't know how she does that. You don't know how the child developed in your belly or in your womb, but it's happening in your body. So there are many, many mysteries in this world today, and to understand those mysteries, you have to get knowledge that's not simply materialistic knowledge, but it's spiritual knowledge, because you cannot explain these things simply by matter and the combinations of matter. There's something more than that, and that is the supreme power, and it's a mystical power of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you can definitely, if you think carefully, understand that someone is controlling your body. For example, blood. Your body manufactures blood. If scientists learned or could figure out how to make blood, right now they can make facsimiles of blood, but not the whole thing. But whoever can do that in the future, they'll become the richest persons in the world. But they've never been able to do it. There are a lot of things that scientists are trying to do, but they're not able to do it. So, therefore, what do they do when they're frustrated like that? They make up things. Just like Elon Musk. He keeps saying that, eventually we'll have to colonize Mars, and people will be living on Mars. Well, Elon, let me ask you a question. Are you willing to go first? No. And by the way, it's a one-way trip. You'll never come back, and you won't live, because you'll die on Mars. We don't have our body is not adapted to the atmosphere of Mars. Our bodies are adapted somewhat to the atmosphere of the Earth. So there are a lot of limitations that we have, but the big so-called enlightened persons like Elon Musk and others, they're promising you things that they will never be able to achieve. But see, that's how they get their reputation. Just like the United States said that they went to the moon 50 years ago. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, they never went to the moon. The whole thing was a hoax. But it was a hoax so that the American government could claim that they were able to do something that nobody else before them were able to do. That is, put astronauts on the moon. Well, there were two astronauts that went to the moon, so-called. Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. About 20 years ago, on the Conan Bryan evening program, Buzz Aldrin was invited to be there, and Conan Bryan asked him. He said, "What's it like to go to the moon?" He said, "I never went." He said, "What?" He said, "I never went. It was all staged." If you don't believe me, you can look it up right now on your cell phone. You can look it up right now on your cell phone if you want to validate, or if you want to see what I'm saying is true or false. You look up Buzz Aldrin and Conan Bryan, and you'll see that Buzz Aldrin, who was the second person, there was Armstrong and Aldrin. He was the second person on the moon, on the so-called on the moon, and he admitted on television to Conan Bryan that they never went. It was staged. You see. But everybody believes that they went to the moon. Now, I'm going to give you more evidence that they didn't go to the moon. They went to the moon 50 years ago, and they've never tried to go back again. Now, why is that? Because they never went in the first place. You see, it's like, let's compare that to Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, somehow or other, trying to find a way to get to India, ends up in Florida and the West Indies. They call it the West Indies now, right? Because he was seeking a way to get to India by going west rather than going east. You know. So he went back to Italy and explained that he ran into a new nation, or not a nation, a new let's say, part of the world that had never been explored or known about by the Europeans. So what happened? Immediately the news got out, and then the Italians and the French and the British, the Spanish, they all built boats that could reach as far as America. And they went to the new, North America, Canada, South America, colonized it and made his fortune, and brought those fortunes back to Europe. If they went to the moon 50 years ago, if the United States went to the moon 50 years ago, they would have done exactly what Christopher Columbus and then the Americans and the Spanish and the French and the and others would have did. They would colonize it. They would exploit it. But they have not. They claim they went 50 years ago, but they haven't exploited anything. The only thing they say that they've brought back from the moon are 6 rocks that are in the Smithsonian Institute. And those 6 rocks look exactly like rocks from Arizona. So you see, this whole thing is a hoax, but yet people believe it. Now, why would they do that? Well, they do that to justify getting huge amounts of money. The so-called attempt to go to the moon cost $30 billion 50 years ago. That's a lot of money. And the so-called space exploration, well, the space station that the United States put into the sky, into orbit, it's only 400 miles up. The same distance, let's say, from here to Eugene, Oregon. That's the extent of their space exploration, and now they're destroying the space. Let's say the orbiting space station, and I don't know if they're going to build another one. So all these things are hoaxes. They're lying, but in order to get, in other words, funding to do these expensive so-called exploits, they have to bluff to get the funding. So let's look at reality. The reality is no one will ever be able to go to the moon. I'm telling you right now. The moon is a different planet. It's actually a planet where the devas go to drink the somarasa. When you drink somarasa, it increases your lifespan 10,000 years. So, and it's a what you would call a heavenly planet. It's not the spiritual world, but it's a heavenly planet, the moon. And it has its own atmosphere. And the bodies of the people on the moon are made differently than our bodies. Our bodies, the main elements are water and the main element of the body is the water. On the moon is different. The bodies of the people on the moon are subtle bodies made by mind. So you see, you have earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, or ego. So the people on the moon, their bodies are principally made with mind, which is a subtle element. There is also some water, some earth, etc., but the main element is the mind. So their bodies are different than ours, whereas we have a mind, but it's not as prominent as the body, as the water and the earth, etc., for the composition of our body. So we see that there's a lot of bluffing going on by the United States and other countries to prove that they're making tangible scientific, let's say, scientific achievements. Most of it nowadays is a bluff. In the past, they did make scientific discoveries, mostly 100 years ago, many scientific discoveries. But now, they haven't come up with anything spectacular, except building weapons of mass destruction. There, they have done tremendous progress. But as far as major scientific, let's say, discoveries, they haven't. They did 100 years ago, maybe 80 years ago, maybe 50 years ago, but it's finished now. And but they have to bluff in order to get funding to continue their bluff. Okay, so what does that mean to us? Let's think about that. It means that we're being lied to. Why? Because most of the scientists and most of the governments are atheistic. And to keep their myth of atheism alive, they have to make up stories about new inventions and new technologies and things like that. Just like Elon Musk. He wants to put a chip in your brain. And he's sort of promising you that it's going to improve your intelligence, it might improve your health. It's promising a lot of things, right? Now we're not talking about building a Tesla car. We're talking about putting a chip in your brain that's going to a different dimension now to try and basically it comes back to what the Nazis and other people tried to do in the past, is makes people supermen or superwomen with superior brain work and so forth. All this is a bluff. It's not going to succeed. Just like they're going to a moon, that's another bluff. They never went in the first place. They didn't try for 50 years to go to the moon, and now they're trying again to go to the moon, and it's going to be a failure. So, when you try and do something that is not, let's say, achievable, not only you waste a lot of money, but you waste people's time, and you divert their attention from what is essential. What is essential is the purpose of life is not to go to the moon. There are already people on the moon, but they have different bodies than we do. They're still made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, but and earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, the composition of their bodies are different than ours, the percentages of those elements. Whereas our body is mostly water and earth, and then a little bit of the other things. Whereas on the moon, the main element is the mind. But there are some of these other things also, but very little. Okay, so to try and do something impossible means you're going to lose a lot of time and money, and all the promises you make are not going to be achieved. So, and how do we know they're bluffing? They said they went to the moon 50 years ago, and they haven't tried to go back for 50 years. And now they're going to try to go back again. That means they claimed to do something in the past, they didn't try to do it for 50 years, and now they're going to try to do it again. That means they never went in the first place. That's why they've not tried for 50 years. And now it's a bluff. They're saying they're going to try again to go to the moon. Okay, so all of this gives credence to the false narrative of atheism and science, and tries to take people's attention away from understanding their relationship with God and following the real way by which you can escape the cycle of birth and death, that is, developing your love for God and engaging in devotional service so that you can go back to Godhead. The process for immortality is already there, right in the Bhagavad Gita, spoken 5,000 years ago by Krishna to Arjuna. And that's not the only time the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. It was first spoken 120 million years ago by the sun god to, Lord Brahma to the sun god, Vivaswan. Then it was spoken again over 2 million years ago. And then it was spoken again to Arjuna 5,000 years ago. So we see this knowledge of how to attain eternal life has been there for a long time. We don't you don't have to reinvent the wheel in every generation. It's already been established. What you have to do is listen carefully to people who know what they're talking about. So when we talk about who Krishna is, based on Shastric evidence of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and as long as the person speaks, let's say, based on those two holy scriptures, then you're getting the truth. But if you hear Elon Musk, we'll eventually put habitations in Mars because the ecology of the Earth is getting destroyed. We won't be able to live here anymore. We'll have to live on Mars. That's a bunch of nonsense. No one is going to go to Mars. No one's going to build, let's say, apartments or houses on the Mars and live there. You won't be able to live there, and it'll be a one-way trip, meaning you die. You can't. We don't have a body that's equipped or sustainable to live on Mars. It's a different atmosphere in many different ways. Okay, so why do they talk about these things, knowing very well that they're impossible? Well, that's exactly what a person does who's a cheater. They promise you things that seem so nice and you really want it, but then you get fooled and you invest in it, and eventually you find out the whole thing was a hoax. Now, let's look at what's real. What's real is, we know you're born, you get old, you get sick, and you die. No one is going to escape these four things. But during the period where there's birth, and then there's old age, disease, and death, you have time, but you don't know exactly how much time you have. If you use that time to find out how to free yourself from the cycle of birth and death, you're a successful human being. But if you use that time just to eat, mate, and let's say eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, you're wasting your time, and you'll miss the opportunity you have of a human body with human intelligence to liberate yourself from the cycle of birth and death. So as long as we get sidetracked by false, what we call narratives or lies, like the United States went to the moon, pretty soon death will be optional. You have people claiming things that are impossible to do, and it gives you false hope, but you'll die before you'll ever see those things happen, because they're not going to happen. They're false. So to deal with reality, you have to go to Bhagavad Gita and hear the discussion between Krishna and his devotee and his devotees, especially in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking to his devotee Arjuna. In that discussion, all the things that are, all the knowledge that's necessary to live a peaceful, happy life, and then at the end of life, remember Krishna and go back to Godhead. That's a successful life. A successful life is not that when you die, you have $4 billion in the bank, but your whole life you just spent making money and spending money, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending like animals. So let's ask a question now. What differentiates a human being from an animal? Well, there's a lot of similarities. Animals also eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Human beings also eat, sleep, mate, and defend. But human beings can do one thing that the animals don't do. They can understand their relationship with God. The animals don't. They're controlled by God, but they can't understand their relationship to God and how to worship the Supreme Lord. So here we have a dilemma. And let's compare things. If animals eat, sleep, mate, and defend, but they're less intelligent and they don't have any understanding of God, what do we say about human beings who only eat, sleep, mate, and defend and ignore trying to understand who God is? That means they're animals. Their consciousness is the consciousness of an animal. They're not actually a human being. Human beings have the opportunity to use their intelligence and to use their intelligence to understand Vedic scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, so that they can liberate themselves from the cycle of birth and death and liberate others. That's the greatest present you can give anyone. Your family, your friends, anyone. The greatest present is to give them the knowledge by which they can be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. There's no greater present than that. But there's a saying, he who has ears can listen. Now wait a minute, everybody's got ears. So why is the man saying, he who has ears can listen? Because people have ears, but they're not willing to listen to spiritual knowledge. They're willing to listen to the stock market quotes. They're willing to listen to baseball, football games. They're willing to listen to so many things, political nonsense and other things. But they're not willing to hear spiritual knowledge and associate with people who actually have faith in God. So many people say, well, you say you need to have faith in God to understand who God is or Krishna is, but I don't have any faith. Well, now you should ask the question, how do you get faith? How do you develop faith in the existence of Krishna or God? You associate with people who have faith. So, if all you listen to are political, the speeches and how to flip houses and make a fortune in 3 months and things like that, you'll never have any idea about how to liberate yourself from the cycle of birth and death. You're listening to simply mundane, what's called prajalpa. Prajalpa means nonsense, talk. At the moment of death, you can't take the money that you made with you. At the moment of death, the money you made is not going to save you from death. All the houses you may have or all the businesses you have, you're not going to take them with you. They're not going to. You're going to lose everything. So the one thing that you're going to take is your karma. And the karma is a mixed bag. There's some good things you did, and there's some bad things you did. If there are more bad things you did, you'll get a very low birth in the next life. Instead of being a human being, you could become a cockroach, or you can become a snake, or you can become, I don't know, a dog, right? But if you did more punya and spiritual activities, then you might take birth in the heavenly planets, but you're still in the material world under the influence of birth, death, old age, and disease. But if you associate with genuine devotees and hear their discourses, you see, you don't learn by speaking, you learn by hearing from experts, from people who actually believe in God and who are practicing the rules and regulations of Dharma. Then you learn something that you never heard about in college or in your previous education, and that is how to free yourself from the cycle of birth and death. That is the real purpose of life, of human life. The dog does not have that purpose and doesn't have that ability. The dog can do other things, but it doesn't have the ability to understand its relationship with God. The human being does. And that's what we should, let's say, develop as our main vocation, how we're going to free ourselves from birth, death, old age, and disease. Nobody likes those four things. So unless you ask the question, why am I subjected to these four things, you never make an attempt to even find out if it is possible to be free of these four things. Then most people just give up. They say, well, it's just natural. Everybody's born. You only live once, then you die, and everything is over. That's not true. Yes, you're born, but it's not your first birth. And you live for some time, and then you die, yes. But only your body dies. Actually, you have two bodies. One is the gross body, the other is the subtle body, and the third is your spiritual body. Now, the spiritual body is covered by the gross body of earth, water, fire, air, ether. And there's a second, more subtle covering of mind, intelligence, and ego. So we have these 7 coverings of the soul. So that's why when you die, if you're not Krishna conscious, your subtle body, don't forget, mind is part of the subtle body, and all the thoughts and experiences that you've had in the past will take you to your next body, which will be determined by the devas or Krishna. So the idea is not simply purifying oneself of the gross body, but also purifying the subtle body, which is more subtle than the gross body and more difficult to purify. You see, you can act like a nice person, but nobody really knows what's going on in your mind. Eventually you'll reveal it. But what I'm saying is that you can seem to be a good person throughout your life, but when you die, if your subtle body is full of, let's say, unsavory thoughts, desires, and so forth, you're going to take birth again. So you don't only purify, you don't have to purify the gross body, you have to purify the subtle body, which is much more difficult, but not impossible to do. But you have to hear about these things. You have to understand there is a gross and subtle body. When a person dies, only the gross body dies. And depending on what's accumulated in the subtle body through the lifetime and previous lifetimes, you'll get another body, a gross body in the next life. But it might not be a human body. It could be an animal. It could be an insect. All depending on your consciousness. And especially the consciousness you have at the moment of death. Now, what happens at the moment of death is very important to understand. Everything you've done in this lifetime and even in previous lifetimes will flash before you very quickly. And if most of those things that you did were bad, you're definitely going to take birth again and in a lower type of body, not a human body. Some people say, well, what's wrong with becoming a dog? There's a lot of things wrong with it. You understand? Or a cat or a bug. Yeah, there's a lot of problems, much more problems than being a human being. So we shouldn't joke about these things. Actually, they're very serious. We have a human body. It took us many, many births and deaths to come to the human body. There are 8,400,000 species. You have aquatics, and you have birds, and you have mammals, and you have reptiles, and then eventually you come to cows, and then eventually you come to human beings. So it's not an easy thing to have a human body. You have to go through all these bodies before you come to the human body. And if in the human body we waste our time eating, sleeping, and defending like animals, then you can start all over again. We're caught. It's just like if you have a hamster. If you know what a hamster is, it looks like a little rat, and you buy a cage for it, and it has a circular thing in it, and the hamster, for practice, it gets on that circular thing, the wheel, and starts running, but it's not running anywhere. It's just going around in that circular thing, right? So that's what we end up being in. It's called the Ferris wheel syndrome. The Ferris wheel is sometimes at the bottom, you're at the bottom of it, and sometimes you get it on the top. When you get on the top, You look down to all your friends and your mother and your father, say, hey, and they go, hey, like this. And then you come back to the bottom of the Ferris wheel, and, the kid's a little sad, so I want to go up the top again. So that's what's happening to us. We can get caught in the Ferris wheel syndrome of getting a human body, and then because we waste our time watching television, eating meat, and engaging in illicit sex, then we get the next body we have is a dog. That means we're going down. We're not going up anymore. And so you get caught in that wheel, that circular wheel of birth and death. So as a human being, we can understand what's happening if we're willing to listen. That's why even in the Bible, Jesus Christ says, those who have ears, let them listen. Well, wait a minute. Everybody's got ears. The elephant has got a big ear, right? And you have ears, I have ears, but not everyone's willing to listen. Listening to spiritual discourse is very important. Listening to political discourse is a waste of time and it's nonsense. Listening to gossip is nonsense. Listening to how to flip houses and become a millionaire, it's nonsense. But listening to how to develop love for Radha and Krishna, that's real, let's say, that's a real subject, because you'll have an eternal solution to the problem of birth and death. You will become eternal. You're already eternal. Every one of us has an eternal soul, but the soul is covered by the body, and there's two bodies. Don't forget, the gross body and the subtle body. So you have to free yourself from the gross body and the subtle body to be able to go back to Godhead with your spiritual body. That requires a lot of hearing. You learn by hearing. You don't learn by talking. You learn by hearing, but the hearing has to be from bona fide people who actually have knowledge of who God is and how to share that knowledge with you. So, without making things too complicated, because this age is a very complicated age, therefore Krishna has given us the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If you don't understand anything about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, still you can make tangible spiritual progress simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? Because this mantra, the holy mantra, and it's the Maha Mantra, the great mantra for emancipation, has come from the spiritual world. And it has come down to us as a tremendous benefit and gift in this age of Kali Yuga, the age of hypocrisy and quarrel. It's a very bad time to be born. But because it's so difficult to be Krishna conscious in this age, Krishna has made the process very easy. Just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now there are people who say, oh, well, that's too easy. Give me something harder to do. What? No. That's not the right thing to say. You take the responsibility of chanting every day a minimum of 16 good rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It takes about 2 hours. Those people that get more expert at it, maybe an hour and a half. Those people who want to cheat, maybe an hour or half an hour. But if you're sincere about chanting, it's going to take about an hour and a half to finish chanting 16 good rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now, why should we chant this? Why not, instead of Hare Krishna, why don't we just chant marijuana? Well, there's a big difference between marijuana and Hare Krishna. Marijuana is something nonsense, right? It's an intoxicant. By the way, it's very funny. 3 years ago, the Senate of Oregon, they're south of here, the state of Oregon, they decriminalized the use of intoxicants, heroin and fentanyl and marijuana and everything. They said, you can take any one of those things. We're not going to, take you to court or anything like that. Well, in the last 3 years, there's an epidemic of people overdosing on intoxicants like fentanyl and others. So now they realize they made a big mistake. But wait a minute. Any idiot could have told you that it's a big mistake to decriminalize using very, heavy intoxicants, like opium and so forth. But the idiots in Oregon State, they decriminalized it. Now they're going to criminalize it again because they realize it's a huge mistake. A lot of young people died in those 3 years. A lot of people's lives have been ruined in those 3 years. So that's why Krishna says, he said 5,000 years ago, don't eat meat, don't gamble, don't engage in illicit sex, and don't take any intoxication, including coffee and tea. Including coffee and tea. Why? Because all these things will, let's call it like this, it'll reorganize your brain to become full of misconceptions and doubts and make you sick. Just like someone who smokes a cigarette. Do you think your lungs are meant to be filled with smoke from a cigarette? No. Have you ever seen the lungs of a person who's a chain smoker? They're black. I was giving a lecture in India, and I had a picture of the lungs of a person who never smoked and the lungs of a person who was a heavy smoker. And I just thought in my mind, let me show this to the people. So I started talking like I'm talking now, how anyone who smokes cigarettes is basically putting something into their body that's poisonous. And I went around, there were about 400 people. I had someone go around and show them the pictures of lungs of someone who's never smoked and the lungs of someone who's a heavy smoker. So as the person was going around showing this, one man got up and started shouting as loud as he could. He said, "Thank you, I'm giving up smoking." And he took his pack of cigarettes out of his pocket like that and threw it on the ground. He said, "I'm never going to smoke again." Well, that's called an epiphany. It's a discovery. A serendipitous discovery that only an idiot would smoke. In other words, the lungs are not made for inhaling smoke; they're made for inhaling oxygen. And here for 40 years the man has been smoking, and now he looked at lungs of a person who smokes. They're all black. And the lungs of someone who doesn't smoke, they're nice and pink. See? So he understood. But he had to see the picture, and he had to hear what I was saying for it to enter into his mind that this was a crazy thing to do. It's a type of self-suicide. Now, I know because my father killed himself by smoking 4 packs of cigarettes every day. And he had a terrible death. He had cancer of the lungs, and he suffered like anything for almost a year. Sometimes he would up at night screaming, "Give me poison, I can't stand this pain." You have cancer of the lungs, it's very bad. So what we need is to hear people who actually speak the truth. That's why you should regularly come to the temple. And you'll hear the truth. The truth is, there's a reality. Every one of us is born, they get old, they get sick and die. Every one of us suffers 3 kinds of miseries. Miseries of this body, miseries caused, and miseries of this body and mind, miseries caused by other bodies, like human beings or animals, and miseries caused by cataclysmic events, like California is going to have tomorrow. There's going to be a gigantic deluge of rain, 7 inches of rain in a short period of time, which means they're going to get flooded. So, if we hear good sense and stop listening to nonsense, then we can make some genuine progress in our life. But if all we hear is nonsense all the time, like Elon Musk saying, well, eventually we're going to build condos on Mars. Elon, that's a bunch of crap. And if you say you're going to build condos on Mars, you go first and then tell us how it is there. He's not going to go. He's not crazy. He knows that it's a ticket to death. No human being with human body will be able to go to Mars and come back alive or live there. So we see how these big con artists make all kinds of declarations that, in the future there'll be this, and in the future there'll be that. It's all nonsense. It's better to follow the wisdom of your ancestors. What was the wisdom of your ancestors? Old is gold. Old is gold. Living a simple life, high thinking. So that was the way your ancestors lived. And I'm sure if I went around and I asked, how much money did your grandmother and grandfather make? And you would probably say, well, they were living in the village, and they lived a very good life. They raised their kids nicely, but they were not rich. They were generally what you would call poor, but still they were able to educate their kids, and so forth. So we see that there's a big change now. Nowadays, unless you make at least $80,000 a year, you're going to have a very hard time living. Is that right? Yeah, but most Americans don't make $80,000 a year. Most Americans make between $35,000 to $60,000 a year. $35,000 is the lower part, but most people make like $50,000, $60,000 a year. Right? Then, of course, there are the expatriate Indians who are making a lot more money. But it all depends on education and karma. So we should never forget about karma. Karma means the activities that you've performed in previous lives and you're performing now. What those activities are, if they're mostly good activities that are sattvic, then you'll have a very good life in the future. If they're rajasic, you might make a lot of money, but you're going to have a lot of troubles. And if they're tamasic, you're only going to have troubles. So sattvic means in the mode of goodness, rajasic means in the mode of passion, and tamas means the mode of ignorance. So the mode of ignorance is smoking marijuana and eating meat and engaging in illicit sex and so forth. And rajasic means having a lot of sex, trying to make as much money as you can, and spending that money for all types of sense gratification. But sattvic means that you give up bad habits and take up good habits. Now, what are the good habits? Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. You're chanting the holy names of God. Nothing is better than that, because you're associating with God. God, or Krishna, is non-different than the vibration of his name also, because he has all potencies. Therefore, when you chant his name, you're actually associating with him. So that's one. Two, always associating with devotees. If you associate with devotees, then you'll learn not to eat meat, not to gamble, not to have illicit sex, not to engage in any of these sinful activities: meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, cheating, lying, and so forth. And number three is to regularly come to the temple and hear the classes and engage in seva, doing some service. Service means that you actually have some feelings and love for Krishna. Somebody you love, you want to serve also. So when you learn to serve Krishna, that is the greatest thing you can do, because then Krishna takes a personal interest in you. If you do nothing for Krishna, then how can he take a special interest in you? But if you take a special interest in Krishna, then he'll take a special interest in you, and then most of your problems in life, if not all, will go away by Krishna's mercy. So, by associating with people who have faith, you'll also develop faith in Krishna. By associating with people who don't believe in God, you will most likely lose any attraction to God and become an atheist like the others. So everything depends on Sangha, the people you associate with. So, for example, if a very dirty person comes to your door, okay, let me ask you a question. This is my friend here. Let me ask you a question, Prabhu. Yourself, yes. If a very dirty person comes to your door and knocks on the door, knocks on the door, Hare Krishna, and says, "Let me in," would you let that guy in?
Depends. If I know for a reason that he wants some help, I'll say, okay, how can I help you?
Well, what if he comes in, pushes you out of the way, and runs to your kitchen, opens your refrigerator, and starts eating directly out of your refrigerator? Well, yeah, you see, so therefore, you discriminate. Why? Because you have to protect your family, right, and so forth. So, someone that you wouldn't let into your house, but when you open your television, you let the worst people in the whole world in your house. People that you wouldn't let in your house if they were, if they knocked on the door and asked to get in. You see my point? That this television and movies, like for example, let me ask a question. Who here tonight murdered someone? Raise your hand. Say, nobody, right? So, here's something that none of you have done, right? But when you open a television or you go to a movie, you might see 5 or 10 murders in one show. So what did that do to you? What does it do to kids? It desensitizes them, and they become violent. Just like one day there was a Disney movie, and a Disney movie, the Roadrunner. You know who the Roadrunner is? He's like a rabbit that's running very fast, right? And then he comes to a stop, right? So the Roadrunner was running down this way, and somebody else was holding a hammer, and as soon as the Roadrunner came and stopped, the man that was holding the hammer hit him on the head, and then the Roadrunner fell down, and everybody laughed. So there was this boy and his sister. They were watching television, and then they also laughed, right? And then the boy he had a little toy hammer. He got the hammer, looked at his sister, and then banged her on the head. Now the question is, how did he learn to do that? Bang his sister on the head by watching the Disney movie. You see, the Disney movies are not actually good. They're actually very bad. I don't want to go into it, but if you want to hear about it, I can speak to you. But there are a lot of subliminal messages in Disney movies that basically put bad messages into the minds of kids, and they see bad images. Not as you would say, like really gross images, but other types of images. Like, for example, they'll put the voice of a very low-class human being and put that voice on the hero of their film, so that later on, when the kid hears a bad person speaking, they'll recognize that was the voice of the hero in the Disney movie, and they'll think that person is good. These are subliminal things that are put into Disney films to groom your children to become susceptible to evil. Okay, so I'll stop right there. There's a lot of things we can discuss. Are there any questions? Because I must have said something that you might not agree with, or maybe something you don't understand, or something that you would like to ask a question that no one's ever been able to give a proper answer to you. Okay, Mataji, yes? That's a good question. No, see, good rounds, good questions. See. So that means that you go to bed early, you wake up early, you take a shower, you put on tilak, nice clothes, and fresh clothes, and you begin to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you finish all your rounds early in the morning before Mangalarti. In other words, you go to sleep 9:30 at night, you wake up 3 o'clock or 3:30, take your shower, put on clean clothes, put tilak on, and now you begin to chant. And by 5:30, you finished all your rounds. And no telephone was ringing, your husband's not saying, make breakfast, you got it all done already. So the rest of the day, you're in ecstasy. You've chanted your rounds, you've got your work done early, now you can go to work and do a good job and come back with peaceful mind, and again, go to bed early, as they say, early to bed, early to rise, makes you healthy, healthy, happy, and wise. Forget about the wealth. The wealth is not that important. What's more important is to be healthy, happy, and wise. Right? So that's what it means. Okay? Chant your rounds in the morning. If you don't do that, you'll never get your rounds done. If you start chanting your rounds 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, you're still trying to finish your rounds. Any other questions? Here's your chance. Yes, young gentleman.
Like this happened in COVID, I kind of had a dream of Krishna, and he was on that story, and he was on Kaliya's. Oh, thank you. So around COVID time, I had this dream of Sri Krishna. That was the time I usually never prayed to Sri Krishna. I used to pray to I still pray to Hanumanji, but I really liked Hanumanji. I still like him a lot. But
Hanuman is a pure devotee of Krishna, so you're in very high company there.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But so I had this dream of Sri Krishna, and he was that story when the Kaliya snake, he came up and he started dancing on the snake?
Krishna started dancing on Kaliya's snake.
Yeah,
Kaliya's
on
snake
the
didn't
head.
start dancing
On his head.
Okay.
So, and he was playing, and in my dream at least, he was playing the flute. I never actually understood what this meant, and I kept on trying to ask people what it meant, but no one ever really knew. So I'm really hoping if you know what it is.
Why Krishna was dancing on Kaliya's head?
No, what that dream really meant.
Oh, your dream.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just speak a little bit about dreams.
Yes.
There can be dreams that are very valid, and there can be other dreams that are just opposed, which means that, let's say, during the day you went to Mount Rainier.
Yeah.
And then you come back, and now you go to sleep, and in the sleep you see a golden mountain. Well, you didn't see a golden mountain in Mount Rainier, but you do have, you saw your friend had a gold ring on. So now you connect the gold ring to the mountain, and now you're dreaming of a golden mountain. You see? So that's called, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't really, it was just a normal day. I just went to, school online, and then, yeah. But, so that's why it kind of stood out to me, because I was like, wait a minute, wait, what? So, yeah.
Well, you said what about the
What
dream
the
that
dream
you
really
had?
meant.
About your dream?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. some dreams are real,
Yeah.
but most dreams are, let's say,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
actually
I know.
factual, right? So how can you tell the difference? Like, for example, let's say I have a dream, and in my
Yeah.
dream, I dream that Krishna comes and gives me his knife, and he says, "Go, wake up, and go kill your wife."
What? Oh.
Let me finish. I didn't
Yeah.
finish it. So I wake up and I say, "Oh my God, I actually saw Krishna, and he gave me the knife and told me to kill my wife. What should I do?" Well, what you should do is you should go and see a genuine devotee
Yes.
and say, "Prabhuji, I had this dream where Krishna came and gave me a knife and said I should kill my wife. What should I do?"
Pretty gruesome.
No, well, no.
Yeah.
The devotee will tell you, well, ignore that prayer or that dream, because Krishna would never tell you to do a thing like that. Now, there are other people, and these are things that actually happen. They have a dream, and in the dream, they hear a voice that says, "Kill your wife and children." They wake up, they believe the dream, they don't ask any advice from anyone, and they go and do it. So, always ask advice from a genuine devotee,
That's what I'm asking.
okay? You have to
I really need some context on this as well.
always ask advice of a genuine devotee, because you might make a mistake, and they'll be able to tell you the truth, okay? Now, by the way, if you kill somebody,
Yeah.
you're gonna end up in jail, or you might end up being killed also. So it's
Yeah.
always good to get the advice. In other words, as they say in English, look before you jump. That means that always get validation by let's say, a person of knowledge before you undertake an activity. All right?
Yes.
Like if a friend of yours says, "Oh, marijuana is so good, and you can smoke with it, and then you'll be part of our gang," Well, you say, "Okay, but I got to go and ask my mom and dad what they think about that." Right? Don't make a decision on your own. Always ask your mom and dad what they think, right? So if you ask your mom and dad, "Mom, Dad, my friends say that smoking marijuana is really good. What do you think?" They'll say, "Well, whoever told you that is an idiot. And if you do that, you'll become an idiot also." That means don't do it.
Yeah.
So always ask advice from people that you trust. So you obviously trust your mother and father, and they're not going to lie to you. So never keep a secret. You should be an open book. Never keep a secret. Always ask permission of your mother and father before you do something. Even though your friends say, "Oh, no, it's so wonderful to smoke marijuana. You'll feel like you're so happy," and blah, 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 blah. It's all nonsense. But your mother and father will stop you. They're not going to lie to you. They're going to tell you what the truth is. Okay?
Yeah.
But your friends could easily lie to you. So you have to have somebody or a few people that you can trust to give you good advice in life. Then you'll never go wrong. Just like one time, I saw this old man walking down the street in Berkeley, California. And I stopped him. I said, "Sir, do you have some advice for me?" He said, "Who are you?" "I don't know who you are." I said, "I don't know who you are, but you're an older person, and I always have faith that older people have more experience than I do, and maybe you have some advice for me." He said, "Huh?" He said, "You're a smart boy." He said, "Yeah, I have advice for you." He said, "You know how to climb a mountain?" I said, "No, I never did it." He said, "I give you the secret. When you climb a mountain, always look at the top. Don't look down. Always look up. Then you'll reach the top." I said, that's very good advice. See? Now, what did I mean that's very good advice? Well, he was right.
Yeah.
If we have a good goal, like become Krishna conscious or go back to Godhead, then we should be always aiming at that. And not looking here, there, everywhere, taking our mind off of what's the most important thing. Most important thing is to go back to Godhead. And take people with us also. So you keep that in your mind as your ultimate goal. Don't look down and say, oh, well, maybe I'll smoke some marijuana on the way. No. That's not going to help you. Go back to Godhead. Okay?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radha Radha.
Yeah. Any other questions? Here's your chance. If you have some question that you've never got an adequate answer from, yes, go right ahead, please. Go ahead, give him the microphone.
Why 16 rounds of chanting in the morning? Why not just 2?
Well, you begin with 2, and eventually 2 becomes 4, and eventually 4 becomes 8, and eventually 8 becomes how much?
16.
How much? Yeah. So you go little by little until you get to 16, and then you hold 16 the rest of your life. Okay? Any other questions? This is your chance. There was a lady. Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam.
Thank you.
I want to ask, like, is being ambitious at your work, is it a good thing or, like, you know?
Well, ambitious about what? Like ambitious to, I don't know.
If you're working in the office, let's say, like your professional life.
Okay, well, what you want to do in your professional life is not to make it so important that you avoid your spiritual life. Some people are so overwhelmed by their professional life, they don't have time to chant Hare Krishna. They don't have time to spend time with their own kids or, spend time, with the, quality time with your own kids, etc. So we have to have a balanced life. If you're working 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, some people work 12 hours a day, then you have to balance that off with at least 4 hours of something spiritual, something that elevates your mind above simply making money and deadlines and deliverables and all that nonsense. So, but if it's all all work and no play makes John a dull boy. So when you die, all the work you did, all the money you made, is not going to help you. You see, and if you come in front of Yamaraj and you're scared because he's fierce, and you say, well, why am I here? And he says, why are you here? You're here because you never chanted Hare Krishna. You're here because you were only interested in making money. You're here because you didn't educate your children correctly. You're here because you wasted your time talking on the telephone, right? Or the cell phone or whatever. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. So what you have to do in, let's say, you have to have a balance. If you're working 8 or 10 hours or even 12 hours a day, at least 4 hours you have to have for chanting, for talking to your kids, for, and cooking, keeping the house clean, and so forth. 4 to 6 hours. So there's 24 hours in a day. And let's say you work 10 hours every day. So that's 10 hours. Let's say it takes you an hour to go to work and come back. So that's 11 hours. Now you still have, 9 and 4, 13 hours. How are you going to plan those 13 hours? You see? Well, you have to make a plan, and you should write it out, your schedule. Make notes, write it out. At this time, I'm going to do this. At that time, I'm going to do that. And then stick to your schedule. Whenever your schedule is broken, you have to find out why it broke, and then try to make adjustments so it doesn't break again. The most high achievers are people who plan their hours. In 24 hours, they plan those hours, what they're going to be doing. They don't just say, well, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. No, they have a specific plan. Those are people that are high achievers. And if that plan includes Krishna, then they're going to be really high achievers. See, you have to hedge your bet. Let's say a bet. A bet is something that you're taking a chance on. You don't know whether you're going to win or lose. But you hedge your bet. Whatever you're doing, whether it's at work or at home, you also protect yourself by having at least 2 to 4 hours of spiritual activity in your daily schedule. Now you have 24 hours, right? Let's say you sleep 8 hours, then you work 10 hours. So how much is that? 8 and 10 is 18 hours. Now you have 4 hours. You don't want to lose those 4 hours by gossiping, by talking on the phone, by watching television, by talking nonsense. You have to, protect yourself by having at least 4 hours of the day that you're talking to your children, helping them with their homework, telling them nice stories about Krishna Katha, and so forth. And also, you're able to chant your rounds or chant the holy names of the Lord. You have to have time for yourself. Most women, they work so hard for like 20 years, 25 years raising their kids, and then afterward they get really frustrated. They say, all I did was, my best years, I was just raising the kids, washing the dishes, washing the clothes, and I didn't do anything for myself. That's because they didn't plan their day. So you make a plan where you have at least 3 or 4 hours where you can do something spiritual. You can spend some quality time with your kids and your husband and so forth. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we'll stop right there and chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare
Oh
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare
Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
निताय
गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय
जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा
जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा
जय सीताराम 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 जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय सीताराम 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 जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय राधा नीलमाधव राधे
जय राधा नील माधव राधा नील माधव श्री राधे
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
ददायिने
दलादजायिने
हिरण्यकशी पूर्वक्षः
हिरण्यकाशी पूर्वक्षा
शीलटङ्कानकालये
शीलदन्कानकालाये
शीलटङ्कानकालये
शीलटङ्कानकालाये
ईतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह
ईतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह
ईतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह
ईतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह
यतो यतो यामि ततो 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 नरसिंह
हे नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह
बाहे नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह
हे नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह
बाहे नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह
सिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे
नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये
सिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे
नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये
तव कर कमलवरे नकाम् अद्भुत सिंह दलितालिरन्नकशिपु कानुबृङ्ग केशवधृता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
भव कर कमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुत शृङ्गार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
केशवधृता नरहरिरूप जय जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय केशवद्रीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव
जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह
जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह
जय नार हरि नार हरि नार हरि जय नार हरि
जय नर हरि नर हरि नर हरि जय नर हरि
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajagachasthatara Satara Shri Shimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Aranta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Shakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapura Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Ginda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavana Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. So we have some feast sponsors for the Sunday feast. So Namavrata Prabhu and family, Krishna Murali Prabhu and family, Srikant Uppalanchi, Haribol, Vijay Arora, Ashok Selvaraj, and Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu in memory of his mother Dhanalakshmi Gundimeda. So we also have few announcements. So most of you probably are aware that we have the new Balaji temple that's in Bellevue. So it's called the Vedic Cultural Center Bellevue. That temple is now open. So it's open for anyone to visit. On weekdays, it's going to be in the evening from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And then on the weekends, it's from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. So please again, there is no, earlier we started with registration, but now it's completely open for any of you to visit during these hours. So again, it's on weekdays from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and then on the weekends from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then we're also happy to announce at the new temple, there is going to be the first Carnatic vocal concert by Vidushi Dr. Pantula Rama. on March 2nd. It's at 4 p.m. at the Bellevue Temple. So please mark your calendars. And then the big festival of the year that's going to start it all. It's the Festival of Color. It's going to be on the March 23rd. It's at the Mary Moore Park from 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. I'm sure some of you know, but this time you actually have to register and make sure that you get the colors, registered online and get the colors and parking passes, because there is obviously last year we had huge crowd, and this time the city wants to make sure that we do this in a very organized fashion. So don't miss it, but it is going to be requiring registration. So thank you very much. And then we now have Srivas Prabhu and Mataji. So they have a wedding anniversary, 6th wedding anniversary, Maharaj.
Haribo. This is your 6th anniversary? Well, I hope I'm around when you have your 60th anniversary. I probably won't be here, but you'll have my good wishes then also. Well, light your candles. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Nitai Gaura Premanande ki jai. Well, we want to thank this wonderful couple on their wedding anniversary. Is that it? Yeah. How many years you're married?
6 years.
6 years. Okay. Well, one thing I want to say about Prabhuji here. Every morning he's up before 4 o'clock, I'm sure, and then he has to dress, and he runs to the temple, and he wakes up the deities, and then he gets their plates ready and everything, and then he feeds them, and then we have arti, and then he dresses them, bathes them, and dresses them. This is every day, 7 days a week, and that means that he is giving personal attention and service to Radha and Krishna, and that's a very, very big thing. It's very, very special. Only genuine devotees who have no other purpose in life than to please the Lord do that. So we want to thank him very much, and his good wife, who, as they say in English, every great man has a greater wife behind him. So thank you very much, Prabhu. So now this is your happy 6th anniversary, and I hope you have 60 anniversaries, happy anniversaries. So the way we celebrate our birthdays is we chant Hare Krishna and dance. That means it's a happy occasion. So, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Wait. Look. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hold. Come back. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
Hari Bol
to sing. I'll just play. Okay. तू गायू? कौन सा गाय? नदिया गुदर पूरे लिरिक्स चाहिए. अरे श्रेष्ठा इज ऑल्सो. अरे बच्चे लोग हैं, हम लोग क्या गा रहे हैं? Ria, want to sing? No, there is no other. It's done. चल हाँ.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. 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 जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
हरि बोल. 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 हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल.
हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल.
हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल.
हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल.
हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल.
हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल. हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल.
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल. जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा किशोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
जीवने मरणे गते आरो नाही मोर
जीवने मरणे गति पर नाही मोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
काळी केळी कदंबे रवाना
कालिंदीर कुले केली कदंबे रवाना
काळिंदीर कुळे केळी कदंबे रवाना
कालिंदीर कुले केली कदंबे रवाना
रतन बेदीरा मोशाब दुई जा
रतन बेदियो पर बोसाबु दुई जाना
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
श्याम गौरी अंगे दिवा चंदनेर गंधा
श्याम गौरी अंगे दिवो चंदनेर गंधा
श्याम गौरी अंगे दिवा चंदनेर गंधा
श्याम गौरी अंगे दीवो चंदनेर गंधा
चामर धुलावा कमे हेरी मुख चंद्र
चमर दुलाबो कबे हेरी मुख चंदा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
गाठिया मला तेर मला विबुध हार गले
गाठिया माला तिर माला दीबो दो हर गले
गाठिया मला तेर मला विबुध हार गले
गाठिया माला तिर माला दीबो दो हर गले
आधरे तुलिया दिबो कर्पूर तांबूले
अधरे तुलिया दीबो कर्पूर कंबूले
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगर किशोर
ललिता विशाखादि जत सखी वृंद
ललिता विशाखा आदि जत सखी वृंदा
ललिता विशाखादि जत सखी वृंद
ललिता विशाखा आदि जत सखी वृंदा
आज्ञाय करिब सेवा चरणारविंदा
अज्ञाय करीबो सेवा चरणारविंदा
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासेरानुदासा
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासेरानुदास
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासेरानुदासा
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासेरानुदास
सेवाभिलाषा करे नरोत्तम दासा
सेवाभिलाषा करे नरोत्तम दाया राधा कृष्ण
प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर
हरे कृष्ण
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jai Radha Nila Madhav Sri Radhe
Gayo Radha Nila Madhav Ji Radhe
Jai Radha Shama Sundar Sri Radhe
Gayo Radha Sham Sundar Ji Radhe
Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra
Jayo Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra
Jai Sitaram Jai Sitaram Jai Lakshman Hanuman
Jai Sitaram Jai Sitaram Jai Lakshman Hanuman
Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari
Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Gurudev Jaya
Gurudev Jaya Gurudev
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari
जय जय श्री राधा नीला माधव की जय हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय
माइक अच्छा है कैसे पता चलता है? वो अच्छा माइक, ये नंबर जो है ना इसका पाइल वाला, पाइल इज़ नॉट गुड। SM58 जो है ये क्या है? श्योर का SM58 है, इसका 58 चेंज कर देते हैं इसका, वो अच्छा है। अंदर में एक SM48 है, उसको 58 उसको बढ़ा देते हैं। वो आपके नज़र में जोर है।